A blissful morning and happy fiesta, Tayabas. I am Ma'am Maria Cristal A. Mabilin, your moderator for today's program. Welcome to 2021 Science Club Month Celebration, a science investigative project webinar. We are now live at our Agham Alam Hub YouTube channel. Kindly hit the subscribe button for you to fully participate in this webinar. For those who are not yet registered, the link is already pinned in the comment section. Without further ado, let's have first our national anthem to be followed by our opening prayer, Calabarzon March, Division Hymn, Lalawigan ng Quezon, and Awit ng Palajan.
pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, pero sa sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng mag-ibig, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingin, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay ginagang tula at awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iibig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may mag-iibig. Luman ang araw ng walhaging pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang higaya ng pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
mabuo ang division natin. Ating ipagmalaki ang sangay na natatangi, divisyon ng lungsod ng Tayabas, ating ipagkunti, isisigaw ng sabay-sabay, taos puso nating ialay, kung buhay nilalaan, para sa kabataan. Mga guro'y nagsama-sama, guro para mapasiwa, lahat nagkasa. Kakayanin ang lahat, ano man ang dumating, ganyan tayong lahat na tayabasin. Ating ipagmalaki ang sangay na natatangi, divisyon ng lungsod ng Tayabas, ating ipagkunti, isisigaw ng sabay-sabay, taos puso nating ialay, kung buhay ilalaan, para sa kabataan. Kapit-isip ipagpugay, sumisipol na sangay, kabutihan at karunungan, tungo sa kaunlaran. Isisigaw ng sabay-sabay, taos puso nating ialay, divisyon ng lungsod ng Tayabas, para sa kabataan.
To formally open our program, let us lend an ear for an opening message from our ever hardworking head teacher 3 in Science Department, Sir Marvin J. Rosales.
our ever-supportive School Principal 4, Dr. Henercy de los Reyes, Assistant Principals Dr. Geraldine Constantino, Dr. Maria Eileen Averilla, Madam Maricel Abella, our Admin Officer, Ma'am Tess Palma, my fellow department heads, Luis Palad Integrated High School faculty, parents, and stakeholders, a pleasant day to everyone, especially to our audience in the Agham Alamhaw YouTube channel. We are very much honored today because our event on science investigative research is graced by an expert in the field of botany and herbology. And our guest speaker is also a proud alumni of Luis Palad Integrated High School. As he will be introduced in a few minutes, I would like to thank our guest speaker for being with us in this momentous affair. With this, I am acknowledging the presence of our students who are watching so that you will learn something more about investigative research in botany and the fieldwork that involves its processes. With this, another pleasant morning, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Marvin, for sharing us your kind words. This time, may we call on Ma'am Maria Teresa T. Abisamis, our guidance coordinator, to formally introduce our speaker for today.
Good morning, good day. Ngayon naman po, ang pakikilala ko is none other than a relative of mine who started way back in his elementary grades at Mate Elementary School. Then, he took his secondary education dito sa atin sa Luis Palad National High School way back 1984 to 1988. Then he graduated BS Forestry and Botany 1993 from the University of the Philippines. And for his postgraduate education, he had PhD in biology, MS Biology first, magna cum laude, and PhD in biology, both at the University of Santo Tomas. Then after his graduation, he launched his teaching career, started as a college professor at the Philippine Normal University. Then he went to De La Salle, and at present, he is an associate professor 4 at the Science Department College of Science at the Bulacan State University, and a part-time faculty of the graduate school. So, I will give you some of his research experiences from the National Museum of Natural History, then to international societies. Mostly his researches is concerned with biodiversity, fungal conservation, multidisciplinary research, and he has received grants and scholarship from UPLB, JICA, as far as Cambridge, England, that's the leading scientist of the world, government of Japan, then in other Asian countries like Laos, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, China. And then, for his professional experience, he is always included as a principal investigator of invasive alien plant species, Bata Natural Park, Mount Banahaw, Samar, Sarmiguita Natural Park, and Batanes Protected Landscape. And then, reforestation of La Union Botanical Garden, and vegetation survey of the Bicol National Park, and vegetation analysis and faunal survey of Paete Laguna. Those were his works, which concerns, of course, usually about plants, the biodiversity and plants. Tuklas Kalikasan, Lukban Tayabas Pagbilao, Forest Projects, Ecological Society of the Philippines. When we went to Manila for our last field trip, teacher's field trip, he was in at the National Museum. So I was very happy because he personally toured us, me and my co-teachers at the Luz Palad, and showed us the different biodiversities in our country. And with that, he has many publication which I think we can ask him to donate to our library, publication and articles, and of course, popular articles. May Ganoderma, plants native to the Philippines, etc. And with that, again, I will give you our grandson, at tanda ko na, Dr. Edwin Roses Tadiosa, from our barangay Mate, but now he is all over the world. And I thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. At this point, I will discuss fieldwork as one of the processes of observing and collecting research data. And this could be done in all ecosystems. And this include agricultural land, upland ecosystem, wetland ecosystem, and other ecosystems that we have in our country. My focus is research on plants. So research on flora for investigatory project or any other research in the field. By the way, can you find the 7 horses in this picture? How about find 10 faces in this tree? So dito sa puno na ito, nakikita nyo ba yung 10 faces? Dito, find the person in this foliage, or how many person or ilang tao yung nakikita nyo dito sa plants na ito. Meron ba kayong nakikita? So I hope you recognized at least 2 person in this plant. So try to search kung saang part. Okay, now, what is research? Actually, there are so many definition of research. And this is one of the definition of research. It's creative and systematic work undertaken to increase the stock of knowledge, to increase the information, to increase some of the knowledge or kaalaman in relation to plants. It involves the collection, organization, and analysis of information to increase understanding of a topic and or field of study. Okay, so field research is a qualitative research. It's qualitative in nature. And if you will do a field research, hindi mawawala yung field work. So field work is the collection of raw data outside a laboratory. Kasi, 'di ba, pwede kang mag-research inside the laboratory or in the library or in your workplace or your area. But since you are trying to find out uh, other data, especially data on plants, so you do a field work. Okay. But prior to go to the field, you should know where and what to collect. Dapat alam mo kung saan and ano yung iko-kolekta mo. Fieldwork consists of collecting plant specimens in places where plants grow. This may be in gardens, pwedeng sa backyard nyo or sa front yard, cultivated areas, forest, abandoned fields, grasslands, rivers, seashores, lakes, and seas. So meaning you can collect, document plants in all areas, in all places, in all habitats, or in all ecosystems. As long as mayroon dong plants. And you should have a permit to collect. It's very important to have a permit. So, kailangan niyo ng courtesy call, kailangan niyong makipag-coordinate sa local government, sa mayor, or kung sa protected area, pwede kayong makipag-coordinate to secure permit, pwede kayong mag-courtesy call sa Department of Environment and Natural Resources, sa PENRO, Regional Office, or Senro Office, and also to the community, especially sa barangay captains, para at least alam nila kung ano yung gagawin nyo at ano yung purpose nyo sa area na nasasakupan nila. Okay. And also, make a checklist of equipment or field equipment and supplies. A collector or researcher, before going on a botanical collection, should be provided with supplies and equipment. So kung ano yung kailangan niyo sa field, dapat dala niyo yon, including food, clothing, and medicine, para at least meron kayong provision para hindi kayo magutom during the research. And also, please consider yung weather forecast. Kung wala bang typhoon or hindi ba uulan, para hindi affected yung inyong research. Especially kung, let's say, magkocross kayo ng river or medyo malayo yung pupuntahan nyo, mag-set up kayo ng tent or temporary shelter. So, importante na dapat maganda yung panahon or yung weather para hindi affected yung inyong research study or project. And also, yun nga, yung put up nyo ng mga provisions, especially yung inyong pansamantalang pagstayan o titirahan while doing a research in a particular area. So again, kung pangit yung panahon, so affected yung inyong setup and possible na mabasa kayo and maapektuhan yung inyong ibang um, equipment and gamit for collection and documentation, as well as yung transportation. Kasi for example, kung ang area nyo sa foot ng Mount Banahaw, so hindi ganong accessible, so kailangan nyo na gumamit ng animals to haul your supplies and materials, food, and other equipment para madala dun sa area. And kung okay naman yung area at accessible, pwede kayong gumamit ng inyong car and other transportation to transport or to haul your things na kailangan for your research. If you are in the field already, kung ang materials nyo, kung ang needs nyo kailangan pa na kumuha sa mga trees, so kailangan nyo ng assistance, kailangan nyo ng guide, kailangan nyo ng climber from the community to get a sample of plant parts. Pwedeng branches, pwedeng twig, but dapat mayroong fruits and flowers. But if your sample, maliliit lang naman na plants, weeds, herbs, so no need to climb, no need to hire a climber para kumuha ng sample. Okay. Sometimes you have to cross the trunk, that the branches in order for you to get the sample. Although risky, pero sometimes yun nga, para makuha yung sample, kailangan yung i-try. But kailangan ng extra care while doing that collections and documentation. But the question is, what specimens to collect? What materials to collect? Yung kakailangan ninyo sa inyong project. Actually, there are so many plant groups, and merong flowering plants, merong non-flowering plants. Merong mosses or yung lumot o yung ferns or pako and their allies o yung tinatawag na lycophytes. So dapat alam nyo kung ano yung ido-document nyo, alin yung kokolektahin nyo in the field para to save time. Para at least magkaroon kayo ng idea how to document ano yung mga equipment na gagamitin. Okay. So, for your information, there are 8,000 species ng flowering plants na meron sa Pilipinas. Kasama na dito yung gymnosperm. Yung mga gymnosperm, ito yung mga cone-bearing plants. Ito yung mga plants or trees na tumutubo sa higher elevation. Like yung Benguet pine sa Baguio City and Mountain Province. So ito yung mga gymnosperm. Flowering plants, ito yung mga common plants na nakikita natin sa labas ng school. Diyan pa lang sa Ipilan, Barangay Ipilan, marami ng mga flowering plants. So while walking, makikita nyo sa gilid ng road yung sample ng flowering plants. And please take note, almost 50% or half of that number ay endemic. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga species na very unique, native and indigenous sa Pilipinas. Ito yung sariling atin. But aside from that number, meron ding 7,000 species of lower plants. Ito yung mga non-vascular. Kasama na dito yung mosses, ferns, and fern allies. And itong number na ito represents 5% of the world's flora. That's why Philippines belong to 17 mega-diverse countries. Maliit lang ang Pilipinas in terms of land area, but in terms of number, marami tayong species. Number of species ito, not the number of individuals. Definitely maraming individuals, but I am talking about the number of species na marami meron sa Pilipinas. And yung 95%, makikita in other parts of Asia, America, Europe, and Africa, and other continents, including Oceania and Australia. And this data is according to DNR, CI, and UPCIDS 2002 publication. And this includes yung Raplesia, or ito yung largest flower in bloom na meron tayo sa Pilipinas na at least 12 species. Since we have 12 species, tayo yung tinatawag na Center of Raplesia Diversity. In fact, mayroong isang species na nakita sa Mount Banahaw. So, aside from Raplesia, so itong pitcher plant. So marami din tayong species ng pitcher plant sa Pilipinas. And also Hoya. So ito ay ilan lamang sa mga endemic species, native species na mayroon sa Pilipinas. Take note yung iba-ibang color, iba-ibang morphological characteristics ng flower, yung formations. So ibig sabihin kung merong difference, so definitely ibang species. So iba-ibang species ito. And actually there are general principle to guide a researcher or collector to collect. And you should include yung reproductive structures. Kung sa flowering plants, so dapat merong flowers in fruits, kung merong seeds, and other group of plants like ferns. So dapat yung spores or yung soray dapat magkaroon ng sample or collections ng mga reproductive structures na yon. In addition dito sa plant mismo. And in collecting and processing plants for herbarium purposes, so dapat meron kayong dala na field notebook. A handy one, maliit lang. And may lagay nyo doon yung description, yung features ng plants, kung ano yung characteristics available during field work. And also, you should put the name of collector, locality, sa locality, yung barrio, yung municipality or province. So for example, yung area niya is Barangay Anos, or sa Putol, or sa Malawa, or sa Baguio, o Palali, or Ilasan. So ilalagay nyo lang yung barrio or barangay. Siyempre, yung municipality, yun yung city of Tayabas, province of Quezon. Then local name, dialect Tagalog. So karamihan naman ng tao sa Tayabas ay Tagalog. So kung may local name, so definitely yung dialect na ilalagay nyo is Tagalog. Habitat, kung saang area. Then altitude, you can bring GPS para ma-determine yung exact altitude and latitude. Description, special notes, economic uses, and date collected. So ito ay ilan lang sa dapat nyong isulat while documenting and while collecting the plant samples. So speaking of herbarium, actually herbarium, pwede itong whole plant or portion of plant. Depende sa size. But see to it na yung sample, let's say kung galing sa tree, definitely branch yan or twig. But see to it na yung twig or branch na yon ay merong flowers and fruits para good sample siya. Pwede din naman siyang small plant kung weeds lang siya or herbs, so pwedeng buong plants, including yung roots and all other major parts. And ang dimension ng mounting sheet na kung saan doon ilalagay yung specimens, 11.5 by 16.5. Okay. So, other samples, especially kung malalaking samples. So, big flowering plants in gymnosperm. The twigs containing leaves, flowers, or fruits of about 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters long would be sufficient. So, okay na yon. Pwede kayong magkaroon ng duplicate or instead of one, pwede nyo gawing dalawa yung sample. Lalo na kung marami. So, pwede kayong kumuha ng more than one samples. Pwedeng duplicate. Sometimes, some collector or researchers, they will get more than 2. Pwedeng 5. And itong 5 samples na to, dapat lagyan nyo siya ng tag or label. So, sa paglagay ng tag, dapat merong code. Let's say, for example, ang pwede nyong gawing code, halimbawa, LPIHS, yung pinaka-code. Pero since 5 samples ito, from the same plant, from one plant, so pwede nyong gawin na LPIHS 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and 1E. Kasi para ma-avoid yung mixing or pagkakapalit-palit ng mga samples kapag nakabalik na sa laboratory or sa school or sa bahay. So by looking at the tag, so you can still determine na itong sample na ito ay galing lang sa isang plant. Let's say yung unang plant. Kaya 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E. Okay, so care must be taken to avoid mixing specimens with other numbered collections. The specimens should be properly tagged with their respective numbers. So sa mga big trees, so some parts of the specimen, particularly fruit or flower, can be collected from the ground. Lalo na kung mahirap akyatin sa sobrang laki, so tumingin lang kayo ng sample sa ground floor. May makikita kayong fruits and flower doon. And then, every specimen or every materials, kailangan provided siya ng notes or labels para alam kung alin yung samples na magkakasama from the sample of leaves, sample of fruits, sample of flower. So kung mayroong tag, kung mayroong label, so pwede siyang pagsama-samahin na later on based doon sa tag and label. And sometimes may mga loose parts, may mga loose flowers or nalaglag na fruits. So pwede niyo siyang ilagay sa envelope or pocket. So ang tawag dito is pockets or envelope. So yung size ng pocket or envelope depende sa size ng material. Depende sa size ng flower or fruit na ilalagay nyo dito sa loob. Okay. For the small plant, like this plant, ito yung tinatawag natin na begonia. Yung mga begonia natin, usually ornamental malalaki, pero yung mga wild maliliit lang. So ito mga maliliit na to, complete specimens should be collected. That is to include yung roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and fruits. Kasi maliit lang naman. Now, if you process and dry, so pwede nyo siyang ilagay dito sa mounting sheet na mayroong 11.5 by 16.5 and then yung label sa baba. Okay. Pero may mga mahahabang samples. Katulad dito, ito ay grosses, yung iba vines. So long specimens of vines and grosses should be bent either B or N shape para at least ma-maximize yung mounting sheet, ma-maximize ng sample. And also yung mismong plant parts ay mailagay din dito sa mounted specimens. Okay, sa vine naman, so para ma-maximize din itong sample na ito ng vine, so scatter dito sa mounting sheets. This is very important material, itong um, herbarium specimen. Kasi kung may mga investigatory project, kung may mga competition sa mga research, sometimes ang in-exhibit lang is yung product or byproduct. Pero may mga judges na gustong malaman yung actual specimen. Pero pwede niyong ipakita yung actual specimens na dried already at mounted na with um, or indicated yung information or yung labels ng particular plant na 'to. Kung saan siya na-collect, kung sino yung collector, kung ano yung characteristics, and so on and so forth. For bryophytes, ito naman yung lumot. Paano ba ang collection and preservation? So, usually dahil maliit lang 'to, kailangan ng pocket knife or maliit na kutsilyo or trowel kasi ang substrate kasi nito, it's either stone or yung bark or balat ng tree or minsan nasa surface ng soil. So ang kailangan lang dito is i-dig para makuha yung sample ng moss. And select specimens that are mature in which possess reproductive structures. Kasi kung mature na, so complete na including yung reproductive structures, especially yung presence ng sporangia. And you can use a small plastic freezer bag or sandwich bag or paper for keeping the samples. Since maliit lang naman to, so maliit lang din na freezer bag or sandwich bag or pocket. Pwede rin gamitin yung pocket. Pero in reality, marami din na mga malalaking samples. Let's say for example sa fern. Sa fern pa lang, meron tayong tinatawag na giant fern. Meron tayong tinatawag na tree fern. Makikita natin ito kahit sa foot ng Mount Banahaw. Maraming tree fern. But aside from fern, yung pandan. Maraming pandan sa Tayabas. Palms, including yung coconut, bamboo o kawayan, iba-ibang species meron sa Tayabas. Banana, latundan, lakatan, saba, and yung aroids o ito yung gabi or taro. So, malalaki itong mga samples na ito, malalaki itong mga plants na ito. The question is how to document, how to collect the samples. Kung ito yung materials na gagamitin nyo for research projects. Okay. So, for example, for the fern or yung pako, if there are several fragments representing one species of plant, they must be numbered or labeled successively to its relative position and marked with the same collector's number. So katulad dito sa plant na ito ng fern, so ang kailangan nyo, kumuha kayo ng sample from the base, dun sa middle, and dun sa tip or dun sa dulo. So ito yung tatlong samples nyo. Nalalagyan nyo ngayon ng tag. So meron siyang kanya-kanyang tag. Again, katulad kanina, isip kayo ng code pwede nyo namang idiretso. Kung kanina yun yung first collection nyo, ito yung second collection, so pwede nyo gamitin ulit yung LPIHS. Or pwede nyo namang gamitin yung inyong yung first letter ng inyong name, middle name, and your surname or apelyido. Let's say, for example, CBS 1A, CBS 1B, CBS 1C. So, ibig sabihin, itong mga sample na ito, kahit maghalo-halo sa bag, so kapag ni-retrieve nyo ito sa laboratory or sa school, malalaman nyo na itong tatlong sample na ito galing sa isang fern, sa isang sample ng fern. Dahil meron kayong code. But again, yung sample nyo, 3 lang, pero mas maganda kung kukuha nyo yung total length nitong frond nitong ferns. Okay. So sa pandan. So sabi ko nga maraming pandan sa Tayabas. Pero ito ay isang klase ng pandan na maliit lang. Pandan species may be erect shrubs or trees, usually with prop roots. So, yung pandan, makikita nyo yung trunk niya na mayroong naka-protrude. Actually, yun yung prop roots, papunta siya doon sa ground. Pero nag-start siya or nag-emanate siya doon sa trunk. Ang tawag doon, prop roots. It's very common sa mga pandan. Yung iba naman, climbing. So, mayroon namang aerial roots. Okay, so in this case, kung kuha ng sample, dahil medyo maliit lang naman to, so you should include the flowering branch with complete set of leaves. The leaves can be folded to fit in the plant press. So, yung mounting sheet is 11.5 by 16.5. So, ipipit nyo lang yung sample. So, pwede nyong i-fold, pwede nyong i-bend yung leaves or any parts. And please, don't forget yung label ng plant. Okay. So ito, I saw this, I documented this pandan in Batanes. Sa Quezon, Tayabas, Lokban area, malalaki yung bunga ng pandan. Para siyang jackfruit, para siyang nangka. Ganon siya kahaba. Pero itong pandan na to, pabilog yung kanyang fruit at hindi ganon kalakihan. Pero it's still considered as large already. But you should also collect leaf and fruits. And kung mayroong herbarium specimens, again, pwede kayong kumuha ng sample leaf and few sample of fruits. Pwede din naman na i-collect nyo itong buong fruits, ilagay nyo sa bottles with alcohol, and then mapipreserve na yan for several years. But again, for drying, for herbarium specimens, ang kailangan nyo lang i-few samples of leaves and fruits. So ito, small sample din ng pandan family. And it's very important to acquire some information by taking photographs. So photography is very important. Hindi lang ng organism mismo, hindi lang ng pandan mismo, pati yung landscape, pati yung study area, pwede nyong kunan para ma-describe nyo later yung habitat kung saan nakolekta itong mga plants na ito. Okay. Bamboo is very common. And usually you can find this along the riverine system. So sa tabing ilog, napakaraming bamboo. Iba-ibang species. May malaki, may maliit. Pero just the same, ang question is how to document and how to collect this particular group of plants. So bamboos are tufted, tall plants belonging to grass family. So actually, bamboo is the tallest grass. So kasama siya doon sa grass family. And this can be erect shrubs or large plant with hollow stem known as culm. Inflorescence is panicle and usually large. Before, hindi ko alam na ang bamboo pala ay mayroong flower. So when I um, went to Bukidnon province, so doon ako nakakita ng sample ng flower ng bamboo. So itong pictures dito sa center, sa left, ito yung inflorescence. Ito yung flower ng bamboo. So collect flowering plants if present which are free from diseases. For banana, so napakaraming banana. Sabi ko nga kanina, pwedeng saba, pwedeng lakatan, pwedeng latundan. Pero again, sobrang laki. How to collect, how to document this plant. So banana is a giant herb. So herbaceous plant po ito with modified stem or trunk known as pseudostem and with large fleshy fruits and leaves. So yun na nga yung pinaka bunga niya. So paano siya i-collect na ganito kalaki? Napakahaba ng leaves. So again, important parts of the leaf to be collected ay yung sa base, sa middle, and dun sa tip or dun sa leaf apex. And then collect fingers from mature buds. So ito yung pinaka bunga. So ito yung mounted specimens na kung saan ito yung leaves, sa baba yung fruits, and pwedeng samahan ng pictures or drawing, pero dapat scale. And this one, ito yung ratan o yung tinatawag natin na uway. So itong uway, tumataas ito minsan ng 20 to 25 meters dahil ito ay climbing vines. So umaakyat siya sa puno. So again, how to collect kung ganito kataas and yung kanyang stem ay sobrang dami ng thorns. Okay. So again, important parts of the leaf to be collected from the leaf apex or dun sa dulo, sa middle portion, and then sa basal or dun sa baba or basal segment. And again, this is the sample mounted specimens na kung saan andito yung sample ng leaves and sample of yung pinaka balat ng pinaka-uway. And ito yung sa right side, ito naman yung inflorescence na kung saan dito naman yung flowers and fruits. And kung mapapansin nyo, merong pocket doon sa base, doon nakalagay yung mga loose flowers or fruits. Para at least aside from those fruits and flowers na naka-attach doon sa inflorescence, meron pang additional na nakalagay sa pocket. And then palms, including yung coconut, how to collect and document yung mga palms. Halimbawa, anahaw. So, get sample of leaves, pwede nyong i-fold. Situate, andun siya sa 11.5 by 16.5. And then labels. So again, kailangan yung kumuha ng samples from the base, from the middle, and from the apex or dun sa tip. So another mounted samples na kung saan andito yung leaves, fruits, and other parts of the palms. Okay, so pinnate leaves collect portion of the rockies, one from the leaf apex, from the middle portion, and at the basal segment. One half of the blade should be cut except for their attachment. So, kung sobrang laki at sobrang haba, pwede nyo siyang ikat. In fact, ang characteristic kasi ng palms, kung ano yung nasa right side, basically the same lang din sa left side. Kaya, pwede nyo siyang hatiin and get at least 3 samples. So collect fruits of full size that are not quite mature including seeds. For aroids, or ito naman yung tinatawag natin na gabi or taro, meron ding malalaking gabi. So aroids are plants with fleshy and large underground parts, leaves and stem. This group is known for their distinctive inflorescence na tinatawag na spadix. So, if you are familiar with Anthurium, kasi aroids din yon. So, makikita niyo yung parang leaf-like or flower-like structure. Yun yung spadix na subtended by the solitary spade na katulad nito. Itong pictures na to sa center. So, additional information about gabi or aroids. So again, to collect the sample, kailangan yung parts of leaf blade, apex of the leaf, portion of middle leaf, and the posterior lobe of the gabi or the aroid. So ito yung sample ng specimens with labels. Okay. So meron din naman ng mga gabi na maliliit. So again, kapag maliit, you can collect the whole plant. So from roots and other parts. And since maliit siya, so walang problem sa mounting sheets. Pwede ka maglagay ng 2 or 3 individuals. Again, don't forget the label. And again, other information can be included like taking photographs of the landscape of study area, plant habit, fruits, flowers, associated species. And in Agusan Mars and Wildlife Sanctuary in Agusan del Sur and Bataan National Park and Orani Bataan. So we document some of the samples of plants. So taking photograph para at least if the specimens soak in liquid preservative, so at least again ma-retain kung sa pictures makikita yung actual color. Pero kapag nilagay na kasi sa liquid preservative, ang unang mawawala ay yung color. So magiging brown. Kaya napaka-importante ng photo documentation. So itong hawak ko, ito yung fruits ng rattan. Edible pero maasim. So ito yung Y. Okay. Now, kung gagawa kayo ng projects, research project, investigatory project, since pandemic ngayon, very challenging, very risky na pumunta sa ibang area. Actually, pwede ka naman kayong mag-collect or kumuha ng materials o ng samples sa inyong backyard, inyong front yard, or doon sa mga vacant land, sa mga idle land, sa inyong community, sa inyong subdivisions. Kung gagamitin nyo man ito sa, let's say for example, ang plano nyo is mag-produce kayo ng biofertilizer or biopesticides or just simply plant survey to determine the plant composition. So pwede na kayo actually sa inyong area. Hindi nyo na kailangang lumayo. Kasi marami na mga plants na makikita kayo na madodocument kayo in your area. And meron tayong tinatawag na plot or nested plot. Kung idodocument nyo ay trees, so at least 10 by 10 meters or 100 square meters kapag trees. Kung idodocument nyo naman ay vines and shrubs, pwede na sa 5 by 5 meters or 25 square meters. Or kung dun sa mga weeds, sa mga maliliit na plants, pwede ng 1 by 1 or 1 square meter ang inyong gamitin. So doon lang kayo mag-concentrate sa loob ng plot. To collect the samples, to collect the plants, to collect materials na gagamitin nyo for your projects, for your investigatory project. for your research project. Okay. So, in collecting, let's say for example, for fern. So, kailangan ma-determine yung diagnostic characteristics. By the way, fern is not a flowering plant. So, hindi siya flowering plant. The mode of sexual reproduction is by spores. So, spore bearing, which are found on the underside of the mature leaves. So, makikita nyo yung kanyang reproductive structure sa ilalim. So, katulad dito, parang donut. May makita kayo ditong parang donut. Actually, andito yung kanyang spores. And yung spore case, yung tinatawag na sporangia. Okay. Ferns usually grow in moist, shady areas. Kailangan kasi ng water for reproduction. Now, along the road, while walking, may nakikita tayong mga ferns. From a distance, akala natin na isang species lang yun. Kasi nga, yung physical features, yung morphological characteristics, parang isa lang. Pero kung titingnan nyo yung ilalim or underside, madidetermine nyo dito yung unang-una yung formation ng spores or yung soray. So, meron dito na parang donut again, pero in two lines. Meron din na parang powder-like materials na nakakoncentrate sa middle. Meron din naman na scattered. Merong in a good formation. So in short, itong mga to, dahil iba-iba yung characteristics, iba-iba yung formation ng spores, ng soray, iba-ibang species itong pako or ferns na ito. Okay. So imagine there are 1,029 species ng pako. So ganon kadami. Pero tayo, hindi natin nare-recognize na ganun pala kadami kasi sa tingin natin, ay parang konti lang naman kasi halos tulad-tulad yung characteristics, yung physical features. Okay? In spore collection, let's say from the plant itself, so lalo kung meron tayong microscope, so makikita natin yung soray, so merong spore case na tinatawag na sporangia, and the spores will be gathered in a paper, and sometimes they appear as black, brown, or yellow powder. The sample collected is a mixture of spores and fragments of the spore cases or sporangia. So, meron kasing case na kung saan andun yung spores, ang tawag doon ay sporangia. So, ito yung sample ng spore na nakuha sa fern na ginamitan or nakalagay sa loob ng tube. So, yung yellow in color, ito yung spores ng ferns. And meron tayong tinatawag na prothallus. Prothallus actually is the gametophyte of ferns and other primitive plants. This prothallus of prothalli developed from germinated spores. Merong archegonia, which produce the eggs, and the antheredia producing the sperm. So, kompleto. May eggs, may sperm. Kaya nakukomplete yung reproduction. And kung titingnan natin sa microscope, ito yung kanyang structures. Ito yung gametophyte ng ferns. Pero sometimes kailangan natin ng equipment, kailangan natin ng microscope para ma-view natin ng maayos itong part ng ferns. Okay. So, after collection, so kailangan nating i-freeze, kailangan nating i-process yung specimen. So, yung pressing, at least dapat lang ma-plot natin yung ating sample using newspaper and blotters. Yung blotters, pwede siyang wood pwede siyang bamboo, pero dapat ito ay flat. So upon reaching the camp, the specimen should be neatly arranged in newspaper folders placed one on top of the other with sufficient plotters in between. So ito yung sample ng plant press, at least 2, dapat pair para once you put the samples in newspaper and cardboard, so pwede nyo siyang itali both sides. Dapat higpit para ma-press yung specimen. And kung merong fruits, so depende sa size, pwede nyo siyang i-cut into 2 or cut into 4 at isama sa pressing. So dapat i-slice yung fruits. Preservation, so kailangan ng liquid preservative, kailangan ng alcohol. Dito para maiwasan yung growth ng molds. Kasi once na magkaroon ng growth, once na magkaroon ng molds, madaling mabulok yung samples. Madaling masira yung specimens. Kaya kailangan ng preservative. So in order to maintain the good quality of all collected specimens while on the field, plant samples can be preserved using ethanol or ethyl alcohol or pwede din na denatured alcohol. This solution will present or prevent immediate deterioration or the falling off of leaves, flowers, and fruits. So aside from processing, aside from photography, so ito yung iba-ibang activities na ginagawa sa field para magkaroon ng good samples. So again, photography is one of the important activities in the field. So after pressing, kailangang i-dry yung specimen para nga maiwasan yung growth ng molds. So sa field, wala namang dryer doon, pero pwedeng mag-improvise, pwedeng gumawa ng siga using branches, using wood, using bamboo, and other dried materials para ma-dry yung pressed specimens. So there are 2 methods of drying the specimens. Pwede din naman na sun drying or natural drying. But again, kapag natural drying or sun drying, mas mabilis tumubo yung molds. Kaya mas madaling masira. Yung second, drying under artificial heat or artificial drying, na pwedeng gumamit ng stove and gumawa ng isang structure using plywood or using iron para at least contain yung heat at mas madaling ma-dry yung specimen. Okay. So, specimen should be inspected every 4 hours or as often as necessary para at least ma-avoid yung sobrang pagka-dry or pagkasunog ng specimen. Dead specimens may be removed from heat later on. And then identification. Actually, identification is one of the challenging part in studying plants. Kasi mahirap pag-identify, pero there's some ways to identify. Pwedeng gumamit ng taxonomic keys, although medyo technical ito, pero ito yung isa. Pwede din nyo namang i-compare sa herbarium materials. Pero ang pinaka-close at pinakamalapit na mayroong herbarium from Tayabas is sa UP Los Baños and sa Manila, sa National Museum of Natural History. Pwede din nyo namang i-compare sa colored materials. Let's say sa book, sa journal, and other materials na mayroong plants with label, with identification. And pwede nyo din namang i-consult sa expert kung may available na botanist, biologist, or taxonomist in Tayabas, so pwede nyo rin siyang i-consult kung anong local name, common name, or even scientific name nitong plants. Ito kasing plant na ito, common ito sa Tayabas, ito yung tinatawag na bayag-usa. Bayag-usa yung ginamit kasi yung characteristic ng fruits na para siyang bayag ng usa. But please take note na in other areas, in other provinces, iba-iba yung tawag. Let's say for example, in Bisaya, alibot-bot, salibot-bot, pantog-usa. In Panay area, alibot-bot, ngabay, talanisog, lasob-usa. Sa Bicol, itlog-usa, parik-usa. Pero sa Tagalog, ang tawag dito is bayag-kambing or bayag-usa. So, napakaraming tawag dito sa iisang plant na ito. Pero kahit maraming local name dito sa bayag-usa na 'to, meron lang dapat isang scientific names. Let's say for example in book, nung tiningnan yung word na bayag-usa, mayroon tatlong scientific names, Cerbera manghas, Buokanga globosa, and Gardenia coranii. Dapat isa lang yung scientific names. So by comparing the specimens, by comparing this bayag-usa dito sa herbarium specimens, kasi nga meron siyang tatlong scientific names. Pero nang in-compare sa herbarium specimens na ito ay lumalabas na Buokanga globosa. So ito yung scientific name yung nasa pinaka-center, Buokanga globosa. So ang pagbigay ng scientific names ng mga taxonomist, botanist, lahat ng scientific names are in Latin form or Latin words. But all Latin words have an English translation. This is, for example, globosa. So yung globosa, I think it refers to the characteristic ng fruits na kung saan pabilog. So globosa from the word globe na pabilog. That's why ginamit yung word na globosa. So in short, scientific name of this plant na bayag-usa is Buokanga globosa. So in identification, meron din naman na BioGuide. Meron ding software na pwedeng gamitin. Pero since this is BioGuide, pwedeng gamitin ito not only in plants but also in animals and other organisms like fungus, bacteria, protists, or algae. So, pwedeng gamitin itong BioGuide, the Field Guide to Life on Earth. This is a new mobile software application designed to help the user identity, learn, and enjoy wildlife. So, yeah, it's a global coverage, extensive global coverage. So, please take note that you can use this even if you are offline. So, kahit offline ka, pwede niyong gamitin itong software. Kaya lang, dapat ang gamit nyo ay Android phones and tablets. So, ito lang yung isa sa limitations. Pwede nga siyang gamitin offline, kaya lang, kailangan Android phones and tablets. Aside from this, pwede rin i-refer yung identification sa COS Digital Flora. So ito, if you open the COS Digital Flora, lahat ng native plants andon, including yung pictures ng particular plant. Andon yung scientific names, andon yung collection area, as well as yung pictures ng plants. So, COS Digital Flora of the Philippines, CDFA. It is the most comprehensive digital checklist of Philippine vascular plants. So, lahat lang vascular plants. Wala ditong non-vascular. So, yung non-vascular, you can refer to other materials, other books in journals. It includes all native and naturalized species of vascular plants with diagnostic photographs for its taxon. It includes Hoyas, sa iba-ibang species ng Hoya. So, ito yung iba-ibang samples ng plants na makikita. So, dito sa bottom, ito, familiar kayo dito, ito yung flower ng katmon with white flower. Pero in other provinces like Mindoro and Romblon, ang color ng flower ng katmon doon ay yellow. So, ibig sabihin, ibang species yon ng katmon. Kasi yung sa Tayabas or sa Quezon Province, lahat white in color. It so happened na mayroon palang ibang species na iba din yung color ng flower. And this one, including yung passion flower or passion fruit. Or ito yung sa baba, ito yung fruits ng rattan or uway. As well as this one, different samples of plants and flowers. And for example, if you have sample like this, so dito makita natin yung scientific names, local name, brief description nitong plant na to. Yung uses, distribution, and ecology. Let's say for example, for uses, medicinal. So pwedeng i-explore bakit siya naging medicinal. Anong parts ng plants yung may medicinal properties? Lahat ba ng parts? Yun bang roots, stem, yung leaves, yung fruits, yung flowers, ang may medicinal properties. Pero sa distribution, hindi siya endemic, hindi siya native. Kasi ang distribution niya very wide. Tropical Asia through Malaysia. So Malaysia composed of 5 countries including Vietnam, to tropical Australia and Polynesia. Okay. So after drying, so processing din mounting, so kailangan i-mount yung specimen para presentable kahit siya exhibit, kahit siya display, so presentable yung sample material, sample plants. So sabi ko nga, kung may mga competitions, pwede nyo rin siyang dalhin para additional materials, additional exhibit para sa competition. Kasi kung makikita ng judges yung byproduct na nung inyong ginawa na, let's say, organic fertilizer or organic pesticides, so makikita nila yung product na mismo. Pero kung gusto nila makita yung actual plants, so mayroon din mounted specimens with descriptions and other important informations. So sample of mounting plants or mounted plants ng grass and vines with labels. And then label or labeling. So sa labeling, let's for example, ito yung mga information na nakuha sa field, na ilagay sa field notes sa notebook, and ito yung ilalagay din sa mounted specimens. Kasi for example, kamagong. By the way, kamagong and mabolo ay iisa. Kamagong is a tree, mabolo is a fruit of kamagong tree. So itong plant na ito ay na-document sa Butuan City and Agusan del Norte in Barangay Tungaw, habitat sa backyard, habit tree, ang taas niya 12 meter, ang trunk niya 45 centimeter ang laki, ang fruit reddish, fruit is edible, the wood is used for furniture. And sa label, ito yung scientific name, the Spirus discolor, and yung place of collection, then collector, then yung year, and so on. So ito yung labels. And then accessioning or databasing. Databasing is very important also. Let's say for example, in your laptop or desktop, so tingnan nyo lang yung database nyo, madali nyo makare-retrieve kung ano yung data na gusto nyo tingnan. It includes yung scientific name, family, collector, locality, even yung field number. So actually lahat ng plants meron ding family, hindi lang tao yung may family. So sa plants mayroon din. Meron ding, equivalent, family yung mga plants. Halimbawa yung avocado, yung fruits na avocado. So kung titingnan niyo sa mga books, ang family niya is Lauraceae. So in short, lahat ng plants, identified plants, merong kanya-kanyang family. And then after that, you have to file sa herbarium cases lahat ng mga, specimens, mounted specimens. So meron, dalawang klase ng arrangement. It's either phylogenetic arrangement, ito naman is more on evolutionary trend. So ibig sabihin ang, arrangement depende kung ano yung mga nauna. Anong organism, anong plant yung nauna na, magkaroon dito sa, ah, dito sa iba-ibang ecosystem. Unlike dito sa second, alphabetical, so since merong scientific names, merong generic at merong specific epithet. So sa scientific names kasi two names 'yon. Yung first, yun yung genus or yung, generic name. Yung second, yun yung specific epithet, yun yung second name. Pero, ibe-base yung arrangement based doon sa first name or generic name. At this time merong, highly complicated na, storage facilities na tinatawag na compactor. It is a system, para lang siyang may manibela, puwede siyang, clockwise or counterclockwise and ma-o-open na siya. And makikita niyo yung, itong nasa right side, ito yung, laman, ito yung loob na kung saan naka-pile yung mga samples. And then maintenance, para ma-determine kung in order ba or hindi pa ba siya infested ng mga, pest or even diseases. So kailangan may regular, maintenance. So regular dapat. To end my lecture this morning, I would like to end up by saying this from Sura Neil Hurston. Research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose. Environment, ecological studies, or any studies in relation to documentations, collection of plants, is all about learning the way we should live and how we can develop sustainable strategies to protect the environment. It helps individuals to develop an understanding of living and physical environment and how to resolve challenging environmental issues affecting nature. In addition to studying the physical aspects of the environment, it also emphasizes the need to conserve biodiversity and adopt a more sustainable lifestyle and utilize resources in a responsible way. With this, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Edwin R. Tadyosa, for sharing your significant experiences to us. A virtual clap for Dr. Edwin. And now, at this point, we are going to have our question and answer portion wherein our viewers and listeners can ask our speaker. We would like to invite everyone to participate in our open forum by simply typing your questions and your insights. We are very much willing to read your comments and address your concerns. While you are typing your questions, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more video and activities from Luis Palad Integrated High School, Agham Alamhal. Thank you, Sir Edwin, for a lot of knowledges, and sa lahat po ng shinare nyo, pinakang na-excite po ako is dun sa bio guide. Gusto ko po siyang i-browse later after this session. Thank you po, Sir Edwin. Ayan, meron na po tayong question. For the first one, good day po. Ano pong mga plants ang common at available dito sa Quezon Province, specifically Tayabas City, na maaaring gamitin sa SIP? Thank you po.
Okay, so thank you po sa unang katanungan. Pero bago ko po sagutin yan, gusto ko po muna kayong batiin ng magandang umaga. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat and happy Fiesta. Alam ko
Thank
po,
you po, sir.
Fiesta ngayon. So happy Fiesta po. So kung kayo ay nasa Quezon Province, ako naman po ay nasa Quezon City. Pero just the same, binabati ko po kayo ng happy Fiesta. And yan, katulad po ng nabanggit nga ni Sir Marvin. So kung ano man po yung katanungan ay sasagutin ko po ng isa-isa, depende sa time. Okay, sa unang katanungan po, actually kung tutuusin po ay napakaraming common plants. Diyan pa lang sa Barangay Ipilan and other barangay, papuntang Mount Banahaw, papunta ng Sariaya, papunta ng Tayabas, Lokban area, papunta ng Mauban, halos lahat ng barangay ay maraming common na halaman. At kaya lang, common para sa atin, ang problema lang minsan, hindi tayo familiar kung ano yung kanyang local name, kung ano yung kanyang common name, minsan even yung scientific names. Pero madami po, like yung nabanggit ko kanina na katmon, yung mga simpleng plant common na gumamela, yung mga ornamental plants, including yung mga weeds. So along the road sa may Ipilan, makikita natin doon yung mga maliliit na plants like yung mga yung kahit banggitin ko siguro yung ibang name, baka hindi din kayo familiar, pero marami doon. Kahit yung mga medicinal plants like yung Damong Maria, yung mga iba na iba-ibang klase or iba-ibang species. Pero madami pong pwedeng gamitin sa investigatory project. Ang ano lang dito is at least makakuha kayo ng isa o dalawa na common. Kasi alam natin kapag common is yon, available siya. Kahit doon sa gilid ng road, gilid ng kalye, or gilid ng trail, common siya kasi andun lang siya. Hindi na siya kailangan kunin sa, let's say sa taas or sa middle of Mount Banahaw. So dito pa lang sa baba, dito pa lang sa mga barangay, available na siya. So at least kung mag-collecta ng isa, dalawa hanggang tatlo, and then yon, pwede siyang extract at gamitin siya, pwedeng as fertilizer, as pesticide, or even yung sa product development na let's say sanitizer, and so on and so forth. So marami po, kahit dyan pa lang sa school sa Bispalad, I don't know yung, kasi nag-graduate po ako dyan 1988, pero sa tingin ko basically the same pa rin. Kung anong plants meron dyan ay andyan pa rin yung yung mga plants na nakita ko noon, katulad ng mga pugon, grasses, may mga puno dyan ng mahogany, may puno ng what else, Madami, kahit yung mga fruit-bearing trees available po dyan sa ating school na yan, ng Luis Palad.
Thank you so much po, Sir Edwin, rather. Thank you so much po. Another question is from Ma'am Tess Abisamis po. Kailan po dapat gamitin ang Saunders Research Union? Onion.
Ma'am, please repeat.
Saunders po. Saunders Research Union.
Kung kailan siya
dapat gamitin.
Okay. Actually, kapag po yung ganyang klase ng materials, pwede po siyang gamitin anytime, pwede naman siyang gamitin. Kaya lang, ayun nga, dapat lang yung, especially sa extraction, kung i-extract natin yung materials na yan. So, see to it lang na dapat in a proper way. Para at least, kung gagamitin natin, let's say, today or tomorrow for the following week, so at least intact pa yung materials. Kaya pwede po siya anytime pwede siyang gamitin. So yun po.
Thank you po, Dr. Edwin. Another question po, what advice or tips do you have for us students in order to have a successful research project?
Ang isa po sa magiging advice ko, unang-una, kailangang malaman kung ano yung interest ng bata. Then, kung ma-identify na yung interest ng bata, kasi kung may interest yung bata sa ganong activity, sa ganong gagawin, let's say, any project, so kung interest yung bata sa ganitong, let's say, ito yung gustong gawin na product development, or gustong gawin, it's more on development of pesticides or fertilizer using this plant. So, kapag ito yung interest ng bata, and then ma-identify kung ano yung plant, and then after that, alamin ng bata or estudyante how to extract that plant, alamin din kung ano yung chemical constituents, alamin lahat yung information about that plant, yung process, and then eventually malalaman din kung saan magpipit or saan yung the best na gamit nitong particular plant na ito. Let's say for example, garlic or yung bawang, yun pala pwede as pesticides na pwedeng gamitin, or insecticides na pwedeng gamitin sa ipis or cockroach. So, kung ito yung interest ng bata, magiging successful siya kasi andun yung interest niya. Doon pa lang sa gusto niyang mangyaring project, at the same time yung species ng plants, and then yung pagkuha ng secondary data, and that's it, magkakaroon siya eventually ng isang good project, isang research project na magagamit. So magiging siyang functional, essential, and very important para ma-address yung isang problem, let's say for example sa pests and diseases. Or kung sa needs naman, let's say for example, dahil pandemic, yung sanitizer, and so on and so forth. So sa tingin ko, with that simple advice, ay magiging successful yung research ng ating mga estudyante.
Thank you po. Thank you po, Dr. Edwin. I strongly agree po sa inyong advice. Ano po, going back nung college, nung nagre-research din po kami, we had the plants also as our research. And specifically, ito po yung Moringa oleifera or Damalunggay. Kaya nakaka-inspire po yung inyong advice na pati sa akin, going back, yun din po yung naging root, doon nagsimula lahat, yung interest. Kasi pag alam mo yung gusto mo, you know where your heart is, everything will follow. Ano po, sir? Ayan. Next question po. We have, here po. Why is there a need to gather information about different species of plants? Does it have impact on a particular research? If yes, how? Thanks po.
Yes. Unang-una, dapat ma-determine yung iba-ibang species. And then, let's say for example, in Barangay Ipilan. So yan yung malapit sa school. So unang-una dapat ma-determine kung ano na yung mga species na mayroon doon, anong species ng plants. And then from the list, at least pwede nang makapag-shortlist, let's say 1, 2, or 3 species. Kung ano yung the best na pwedeng gamitin. Pero diyan nakaakibat niyan yung um, kung anong kung ano na yung mga species, yung identification. Kapag na-identify na, let's say sa diyan pa lang naka-identify na ng let's say 20 or 30 species. And then from there, among the list, the group of plants, then let's say 1 or 2 or 3 na pwedeng gamitin. At the same time, ma-determine din yung characteristics and other important details doon sa mga plants na magagather or makikita or madodocument, at the same time, kapag nagkaroon ng shortlist, ma-determine din kung ano talaga yung other important information ng mga plant na yon. And then from there, kung meron ng shortlist, so ito na. Ang importante dito is ma-determine yung overall or all characteristics or data, pwedeng first-hand data, pwedeng secondary data, once the students have their own, let's say 1 or 2 species. So at least by that activity of selecting kung alin doon yung the best, yun yung importante doon kung bakit kinakailangan na ma-determine yung iba-ibang species. At the same time, iba-ibang characteristics ng mga plants na na-document. Or kung ang estudyante naman ay naka-identify na let's say this plant is very good for this particular investigatory project. So from there, pwede naman na gawin na agad ng bata yon. Kasi minsan kasi may mga secondary information na nabasa or nakita sa net, nabasa sa net, or na may nakapagsabi na this plant is very good for that particular or specific project or investigatory project. So pwede naman diretso na rin po. Pero yun nga, kung wala pang idea, so kailangan ng bata na mag-survey muna. Magkaroon ng reconnaissance survey, magkaroon ng listing, and that's the start of having investigatory project.
Thank you po, Sir Edwin. Now we have another question. How are species of plants endemic to each places and how are they unique from other plants?
Okay. So meron tayong tinatawag na, yes, yung endemic. Gusto ko lang emphasize this time na kapag sinabi natin na endemic, this is very unique or very peculiar in one area. Ang opposite dito, yung tinatawag natin na exotic or introduced, na galing naman siya sa ibang country. So katulad sa Tayabas, maraming mga ornamental na exotic or introduced. Pero katulad nga ng question ng bata na endemic. So yung endemic, yun yung sariling sa atin. Ibig sabihin, ito yung plants, native or indigenous, na unang-una meron sa Pilipinas at pwede nating makita din sa mismong Tayabas or mismong sa dyan, barangay na malapit dyan sa Luis Palad. Pero ito yung sariling atin na kung saan based on the research and based on the books na ito yung even before ay nag-i-exist na ito. Halimbawa, ang very common kasi na maganda example yung animals doon sa Mindoro, yung tamaraw. So, yun kasi ang maganda example, hindi nga lang siya plants, pero maganda example yung tamaraw kasi yung tamaraw although animal siya, doon lang talaga natin makikita sa Mindoro. Hindi natin makikita yung tamaraw na yon in any provinces, localities, cities, and municipalities sa buong Pilipinas. Doon lang talaga sa Mindoro. So kung babalikan natin yung sa plants, kung let's say for example, merong species ng katmon or ng kamagong, kasi ito yung mga native natin, na kung nakikita lang siya sa iisang area, so ibig sabihin, endemic lang yung plant na yon in that particular area. Let's say kung endemic lang ba sa Tayabas or endemic lang ba sa Quezon Province. So ibig sabihin, doon lang siya sa makikita sa Quezon Province or sa City of Tayabas. Kung may makikita man po sa other area, other cities and municipalities, baka itinanim lang. Kumuha lang ng planting materials from Tayabas or from Quezon, itinanim lang sa Laguna or itinanim lang sa Cavite. Pero ang origin lang talaga ay sa Tayabas or sa Quezon. Ibig sabihin, that plant is endemic in Tayabas or that plant is endemic in Quezon Province. Pero meron tayong tinatawag na close endemism at meron din namang wide endemism. Yung close endemism, katulad nung sa Tamaraw, doon lang talaga siya sa Mindoro. Halimbawa, sa case ng Katmon, kung dyan lang sa Tayabas or dyan lang sa Quezon Province, that is very close. Close endemism ang tawag doon. Pero kung ang pagiging endemism niya is endemic to the Philippines, you can find those plants sa buong Pilipinas. So, ang tawag doon is wide endemism. Ibig sabihin, masyadong malawak yung pagiging endemic ng plant na yon. Kasi Philippines yung cover. Meron din naman kasing plant na in a particular area, a specific area, na kung saan doon lang talaga siya tumubo. So, ganun po yung tinatawag natin na endemic.
Dr. Edwin, for the
Plants.
enlightenment. Another question. Are we affecting bad things on the nature using research for finding new things about the world and many things about it in the near future?
Are we affecting
Bad things on the
bad
on
things
the nature
about research?
when we do research? Is there
Medyo
negative impact using
hindi siya
plants?
hindi siya clear. Medyo kasi I think sa connection.
Sorry po. May I repeat the question, sir? Okay po. Are we affecting bad things on the nature using research for finding new things about the world and many things about it in the near future?
Okay. Actually, speaking of research, actually in doing research, I think it's a good it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing na while doing research, at least we can identify, we can have later on an outcome or output na kung saan using this particular organism, using this particular plant, nakakapag-produce tayo ng isang product na kung saan itong product na ito, whether it is a sanitizer or this is pesticides or fertilizer, we could produce a product na pwedeng gamitin ng community, na pwedeng gamitin ng tao para ma-address yung particular problem. But at the same time, ang pangit lang dito, kung merong isang plant, magpuproduce ka, let's say for example, ang problema dito kung mayroong plant and yung plant na yon dahil sa nagkaroon ng mass production is yung yung demand, so eventually yung plant na yon nagkakaroon ng decline o nagde-diminish yung number of individuals, na yung palang plant na yon is masasabi natin na endangered. Or pag sinabi nating endangered, itong plants na to is candidate na for extinction. And so happen na yun yung ginamit natin or yun yung ginamit ng estudyante for this particular purpose, for this particular research, for this particular project. So yun lang yung magiging negative point or negative aspect in doing research. Pero I think doing research is a good activity para at least we could have some products, we could have some output using um, organic or using plants or simply using flora of the Philippines. So, yun po.
Last question, sir. We have here, how can these researches affect nature, humans, and other living things and non-living things? What is the purpose of researching?
Yeah, actually, kung gagawa tayo ng research, so iba-iba yung effect. Iba-iba yung effect ng research sa environment, iba yung effect ng research sa tao, iba yung effect ng research sa ibang organisms. So pwedeng positive, pwedeng negative. So may kanya-kanya ng level. But una sa tao, sabi ko nga, ang isang na-point out ko kanina is kung makapag-develop tayo ng simple product from any investigatory project. So makakatulong, positive yung effect sa tao kasi ma-address yung ilan sa problems. Kung halimbawa, sa sobrang dami ng insekto, sa sobrang dami ng diseases. So kung nakapag-produce tayo ng product using plant, so positive yung effect. Now, yung effect sa environment, na point out ko din kanina, na kapag lumaki yung demand, tumaas yung demand. So definitely, kukuha ng sample, in it's either sa wild or sa backyard. So medyo maapektuhan yung growth ng plants. And alam naman natin kung ano yung role ng plants sa environment. Kasi ito yung nag-absorb ng carbon dioxide, ito yung nagbibigay sa atin ng oxygen, and also because of yung climate change, global warming. So may impact yung presence and or absence of a plant na kung saan yun yung mga materials natin, yun yung gagamitin natin. So yeah, may mga degree. Now, for other organisms, meron din kasi tinatawag tayo na yung relationship with this plant to other plant. So kung itong plant na to ang ginamit natin, so medyo sabihin natin na naubos or muntik nang maubos, na kung saan ito pa lang yung mga adjacent plant is totally dependent for that particular plant, not only for pollination and other needs of that particular plant doon sa ginagamit natin or gagamitin natin na plant. So magkakaroon din ng effect. Hindi lang sa growth but in other aspect. So yun po, kasi may mga dynamics, especially in ecology, na kung titingnan yung ecological function nitong mga organism na to, may mga contribution in order for this particular organism to grow, to reproduce, and be have a contribution for the environment, for our ecosystem. So yun po.
And since we are the stewards of God's creation nga po, di ba? Sabi nila, tayo yung may hawak kung paano magiging balance. Tayo mga researchers, tayo yung magbabalance kung paano maging maganda yung flow ng ating research. Ayan po. Any last words or advice po sa ating mga researchers na kabataan at mga beginners po, Sir Dr.
Yeah,
Edwin?
okay. Yeah. Gusto ko lang bigyan ng advice ang mga estudyante, especially ng yan sa Luis Palad, na i i-pursue nyo yung research na gusto nyong gawin. Unang-una kasi sa ngayon medyo wala pa kayong ganong idea kung ano ba talaga yung gusto nyong gawing investigatory project. Yung iba naman sa inyo may idea na. Ah, yan, doon sa mga may idea na, i-pursue nyo lang kung ano yung sa tingin nyo ay magandang gawin. Basta ang importante, yung product nyo ay magagamit ng community. Kasi sa ngayon, ang ang marching order, especially ng national government, ng Department of Science and Technology, even ng kahit ng DepEd or ng Commission on Higher Education, na dapat yung gagawin natin na research ay may impact sa community. May impact sa unang-una kung may impact sa community, may impact sa may impact kahit sa city natin, sa Tayabas, may impact sa Luis Palad, yung ating magiging product para at least masasabi natin na successful yung ating mga project kung magagamit ng community. So, yun yung isa. So, if pursue nyo, ako, like in my case, although the nature of my job is more on documentations, that's why I visited, I went to um, all provinces from Batanes to Sulu to document different species of plants. Yun yung nature ng work ko. Pero sabi ko nga kanina na um, itong mga materials like yung plants ma-identify and then magawan nyo ng simpleng investigatory project para at least habang nasa high school kayo, meron kayong magandang contribution. Meron kayong magandang nagawa sa science. Kasi it's a project na kung saan masasabi natin na monumental in your part. Kasi nakapag-produce kayo, even during this time of pandemic, makapag-produce kayo, makakagawa kayo ng simpleng project to address a specific or simple problem in your community, in our community. So ano niyo lang, i-go niyo lang, i-push niyo lang kung ano yung gusto niyong gawin. And andyan yung mga teacher nyo, andyan yung mga faculty na handang tumulong sa inyo kung ano man yung needs. Kaya lang ang limitation lang ngayon is yung laboratory kung available sa Luis Palad. Let's say for example, gusto niyo gawa ng simple phytochemical analysis. So gusto niyo let's say yung bioassay or gusto niyo mag-produce let's say for example simpleng antibacterial or simpleng antifungal. So I think kailangan niyo ng kailangan niyo siguro din ng equipment, gusto niyo facilities, pero andiyan yung mga teacher niyo para i-assist kayo, para tulungan kayo. Andiyan din yung mga parents niyo, siblings, para masimulan at matapos. Kasi importante 'yon na 'pag nagsimula kayo, dapat tapusin niyo para at least meron kayong good project na masasabi. Kapag graduate na kayo sa Lispalad, sabihin niyo na may natapos din ako na project na nakit na later on makikita niyo na gagamitin ng community, gagamitin ng local government, and pwede siyang let's say kung maganda talaga pwedeng gamitin ng ng buong buong ng buong bansa, especially kung very I mean it's very good project na talagang magandang impact at makatutulong sa ating environment. Okay, yan lang po.
Thank you po, sir. Tama naman. The purpose of research is the product itself and kung paano natin magagamit. Ano po? And gustong-gusto ko po yung kapag sinimulan, tatapusin. Ayan po. And after having that fruitful session with Dr. Edwin, let us now proceed to the awarding of certificate. Allow me to read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, Region 4A, Calabarzon, Province of Quezon, City Schools Division of Tayabas, Luis Palad Integrated High School, City of Tayabas, awards the Certificate of Recognition to Dr. Edwin R. Tadiosa in grateful acknowledgement of his invaluable service as resource speaker in the Science Investigative Project webinar entitled Fieldwork as one of the processes in observing and collecting research data as part of the 2021 Science Month celebration with the theme Revisiting the Past, Reinventing the Future, Enabling Science Education. Given this 29th day of September 2021 at Luis Palad Integrated High School, Barangay Ipilan, Tayabas City. Signed by Marvin J. Rosales, Head Teacher 3 of Science Department, and Dr. Henner C. De Los Reyes, Secondary School Principal 4. Thank you so much po, Dr. Edwin.
Okay, thank you
I would
din po.
like to take this opportunity to remind our participants to answer our evaluation form. The link is already pinned and posted in the screen. In return with this, all participants will receive their certificates of participation. And now, may I call on Sir Wendell R. Mayor, Teacher 3, and YESO Advisor for his closing remarks.
To our beloved and supportive School Principal 4, Dr. Henner C. De Los Reyes, Assistant Principals Dr. Geraldine Constantino, Dr. Maria Eileen Aberilla, and Madam Maricel Abella, our Admin Officer, Ma'am Tess Palma, to the department heads, to my department, Science Department, headed by Sir Marvin Rosales, Luis Palad Integrated High School faculty, parents, and stakeholders. A pleasant day to everyone and happy fiesta. On behalf of the Science Department, we would like to thank our resource speaker, Dr. Edwin R. Tadiosa, for sharing his knowledge and fieldwork as one of the processes in observing and collecting research data. It will be extremely beneficial to our students, particularly those who are conducting research and gathering data. Furthermore, it will provide additional knowledge to teachers and stimulate them to guide the learners in conducting their research for this and future school years. Again, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I'd like to thank all of our participants who signed up and are now watching our Agham Alam Hub live stream. Thank you also to the members of the technical team who helped make our event a success. Sir Jojo Uabel, Sir Raymond Sobieta, Sir Marvin Rosales, Ma'am Sinaida Moreno, Ma'am Rochelle Abulencia, Ma'am Margaret Calvendra, Ma'am Ladesa Padua, and of course our host, Ma'am Cristel Mabilin. Thank you very much to the rest of the science teachers from Junior and Senior High School of Luis Palad Integrated High School. So the Science Department has achieved another milestone in the comprehensive development of our teachers and students. Expect more programs to be showcased in the coming weeks for the benefit of our teachers and students. Muli po, maraming salamat po and happy fiesta!
Thank you, Sir Wendell, for your warm message. Now, we are all inviting you to our awarding ceremony tomorrow, September 30, 2021. Don't forget again to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more science activities and video lessons. And that marks the end of our program for today. My name is Ma Maria Cristal A. Mabilin, and I hope you all had fun and enjoyed learning virtually. Thank you for making our webinar abundant and unforgettable. Keep safe and have a great day ahead. Happy Fiesta, Tayabas! Bye!